This is Christine Brown, and while I have to listen to this podcast as my motherly duty, you have the choice not to. My sons, and of course Michael, sometimes say some naughty things when they're trying to be funny, but really, they're just being stupid. You still want to listen? Go right ahead. I am not your mother.
All right, let's kick this off. Welcome to the Patriots Dynasty podcast. This is episode 5, I think, right? We're week 5, 2001 season.
I mean, the beginning was a little murky. I mean, we may or may not have recorded a few test runs, so I don't know. You're the boss.
Yeah, no, I'm completely lost as well, and who knows how this is going to actually end up. But yeah, we'll call it for now. Tentatively, we'll pencil in it as episode 5.
Love it.
And obviously, with me again today is Mr. Mello. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing?
Good. Oh, I'm living the dream, as always. I'm sitting here in my bedroom talking to you about the 2001 Patriots season.
That's
as
right.
you do.
Fully clothed this time?
For the most part, yes.
That's beautiful.
I even got socks on today. It's cold here because it's officially winter in New England, and it is 27 degrees at the moment.
Ooh, I was going to say, I think it's probably like 58 out here.
Ooh, so you're probably as bundled up as I am, I'd imagine.
You know, I've got a nice button up for some reason.
You got the heat on?
I don't actually, no.
Well, you have the wildfires that are probably keeping you warm.
They are. Love them.
Okay. Nice.
Just kidding. Just kidding. God damn it. You're already getting me in trouble. But yeah, no, things are fantastic, man. I was thinking about it and I don't say it enough, but it is a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah. I look forward to doing these every week. But yeah, it is just the two of us again. The brothers are off gallivanting as always. So
I prefer frolicking.
Oh, you can prefer whatever you'd like.
Thank you. Hey, Greg he still never responded to my birthday wish from last week. So
no? Oh, well, next time he's on, we'll have to give him a bunch of shit for that.
Yeah, I'm a little annoyed.
All right. So speaking of annoying, coming into town this week, week 5 of the 2001 season, were at the time, San Diego Chargers, which they no longer are. Rest in peace.
They could be the London Chargers at some point.
That's true, yeah.
Theoretically.
Yeah. Who do you think, like, just a quick sidebar, top 3 possibilities are to move to London?
Well,
the franchises.
I've given this no thought whatsoever. So
yeah, me neither. I just came up with this right in a second.
So don't take anything I say as anything other than what I'm saying. But
it's gospel. It's on recording, so it's gospel now. We're gonna hold you to this.
Well, I was thinking about this a lot recently, not about the London thing, but just in general. Okay, we have multiple teams in California. Fine, whatever.
True.
We have multiple teams in New York. We have multiple teams in Florida. That all makes sense. Texas. Why Ohio?
Huh.
You know what I'm saying?
Isn't that kind of the birthplace for? Isn't the Hall of Fame in Ohio too?
Yeah, but do you need two teams in that area?
I mean, do you need one team in that area?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So ship them both.
I mean, yeah. I like it. So you're gonna move the Browns again.
Yes.
And you're gonna move the Bengals.
Yes.
And which one goes to England and which one goes to I'll say Portugal.
China?
That's where your family's from.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to say China. Isn't that the plan?
I think that's problematic. But yeah, all right. I'm sure they pay for a team. Yeah, that too, and freedom and such.
Oh yeah, that whole thing. Yeah, no, I think I feel like London deserves the Browns. You know, they could use a little bit of drama, but nothing too happy, nothing too exciting. You know?
Yeah, I mean, this is a country where it rains 80% of the time, so they do enjoy themselves some misery.
Yeah.
This is also a country that invented the game of soccer and hasn't won the World Cup since 1966. So I think the Browns would be a fitting franchise for them, but the Bengals aren't much better. I mean, they've never won a Super Bowl.
Well, I was going to say if we ship them to Portugal, let's say, as you said, my people from the same mother, other mother. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm trying to say is the Bengals would be perfect for the Portuguese because guess what? The Portuguese don't watch football. They don't give a damn. And it would be perfect for the Bengals.
It would, yeah. Because
it's pretty much status quo.
Yeah, not much would change.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, you're on board? You have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, I mean, my initial thought was force Dan Snyder to sell the Redskins and then just change them to the Washington Redcoats.
Right. Okay.
It still works out.
I like that.
And then just ship them over. Problem solved. And you probably have to change the logo slightly, but I think you could just make the guy on the helmet paler.
Okay.
And it would probably still work.
All right.
So yeah, give him a little top hat or something. I don't know.
These are not bad ideas. If somebody could get on this and tweet whoever needs to be tweeted, it would be great.
Yeah, if somebody can get in contact with Roger Goodell, our DMs are always open. He can hit us up and we'll sell him these ideas for small money.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know, but he's currently meeting with Antonio Brown, I believe.
So that was today. Yes. Yeah, I can't wait to see what comes out of that.
Yeah. So for all you listening to this in the future, and this is old news, and I still haven't heard what happened to Antonio Brown, please let me know.
Yeah. Please tweet at Mike Mella.
Yeah.
Do you even have Twitter? I don't know.
No, I
don't think you do. Although my guess is your Twitter handle will be leave me alone. What was it? What was your?
That was I was going through stuff.
But it was Milo in the middle, but it was leave me alone.
Right.
Which I thought was super clever. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of wordplay, and I was impressed with that one.
You know, but those are darker times, and we're here. We're chatting football.
Yeah.
Life couldn't be better.
Sunny, it's warm, at least in my imagination.
Right.
At least inside this conversation, it's beautiful.
It is. You know what else is beautiful?
Well, what else is beautiful?
The New England Patriots.
Yes. Well, let's talk about these Chargers. Speaking of warm.
All right, fine.
So this was, I thought, an interesting group of players in general. The head coach was Mike Riley, who I had never heard of, still never heard of. I mean, it's not a name that I remembered. I don't know about you.
Not really. Doesn't ring a bell.
Not even a little bit. I saw a picture of him. I looked him up and everything. Not a fucking clue. I think he may have coached at Nebraska because he's wearing Nebraska stuff, even on his football, NFL, profile. But good for him. Apparently, only coached the NFL for 3 years, all with the Chargers from '99 to 2001. He went 8-8 the first year, 1-15 the second year, and then 5-11, and he was never invited back.
At least he's the head coach in
the NFL.
Chargers haven't done much better since. I mean, they had a couple of good runs, but
yeah, they have. But every time they have a good run, they fire their coach. So, I mean, those was the Marty Schottenheim year where didn't they go 14-2 and he still got fired or whatever the hell it was?
That was insane. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure we'll get to that at some point in this podcast down the road because I think the Patriots had something to do with that.
I think so as well.
Yeah, but this Chargers team, led by the well-renowned Mike Riley, actually started the season 3-0 before losing their game before this one to the Browns, I think it was. So 3-1 coming into this game, and actually started the season 5-2 and ended it 5-11. I'm not quite sure what happened because I'm not a Chargers fan, thank God, but that's just the wheels falling the fuck off. That's very Buffalo Bills-esque, it felt.
Right.
Which made sense because there are some ties here to the Buffalo Bills. I think the biggest tie would be their starting quarterback, Doug Flutie. Doug Weedbox Flutie, yeah. And if you didn't know, before watching this game, the announcers would beat it over the fucking head for you that he is from Massachusetts.
No.
Played at BC.
Get the fuck out of here.
Right? Did you know that? Did you know that after the game?
I did, yeah.
Oh, it was nauseating. It was the 2001 version of Did You Know this tight end played basketball in college, sort of thing. Did you know Patrick Mahomes used to play shortstop?
Well, it's funny that you bring him up because I was actually thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Flutie the original Patrick Mahomes?
Ooh, I think so.
Okay,
because he has
an arm. Hail Mary, all that.
They have had mobile quarterbacks before him because with Randall Cunningham and Warren Moon and that lot and Steve Young.
Yeah.
So maybe Steve Young may have been the first Patrick Mahomes.
Are you saying that because Flutie's short?
I'm saying that because they're all short. Yeah, they're all short and mobile.
Is Steve Young short?
He's not that big. He's not Doug Flutie short. Doug Flutie's 5'9".
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. That's why he can be Patrick Mahomes. Way to go, man.
How tall is Patrick Mahomes?
I have no idea.
Steve Young is 6'2".
See? He's taller than I am.
So, yeah, he's my height, which, wow.
Okay, I just said taller than I am. You have to trump me by stating your height. Wonderful.
Sorry. Well, you're not exactly, what are you, 6 feet?
Yeah. Well,
yes.
I think I'm like a quarter of an inch off.
Whatever. We'll call it 6 feet. I don't mind rounding up. I'm like 6'1" and 7/8", so 6'2", and you're 6 feet.
All right,
Patrick,
fine.
what do you think? How tall do you think Patrick Mahomes is comparatively?
I don't know. He seems tall and lanky, so I got to think he's like. I want to say. Well, I think he's probably like 6 feet.
He's 6'3".
Damn.
Right?
See, that guy was built for this.
I guess so. What about? And Tom Brady is actually 6'4", so he's actually about Tom Brady's size, which I always felt like he was much shorter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But Flutie, I don't know. I say that because he had a rocket arm. He was, he was pretty good at scrambling, running, lap. I guess he didn't do the cross body stuff. I don't really know who does that other than maybe Favre. But Rodgers,
that's true.
But I'm saying it right here. Doug Flutie, the original Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of
infrastructure.
Right, yeah, and I think he was a bit before his time for this.
Oh, I agree.
But he did have a good year this year, even though they went 5-11. Because the whole controversy, that's why I was bringing up the Bills, was that the Bills had Doug Flutie and whoever they went with. Was it Todd Collins, maybe?
Wait, where? The Bills? Was it Rob Johnson?
That's who it was. Yeah, I knew it was one of those. I don't even know what to call him anymore. But just the plethora of fucking awful Bills quarterbacks. But yeah, it was Rob Johnson. So they had both of those in the prior year. Right. They were like switching back and forth between them. And let's see, I have it here. Rob Johnson started 11 games, went 4-7. Doug Flutie started 5 games and went 4-1.
Well, and it's funny because Tom Donahue, I think, was the Bills GM at that time, and he said that they decided to get, because for salary cap reasons they couldn't keep both of them or whatever. Right. So they picked Rob Johnson because he is more talented. That is a quote.
Yeah. No, it's 100% correct, and because they basically, I think Rob Johnson struggled, so they ended up putting Flutie in at the end of the year, and he won as many games as Rob Johnson did in half as many starts.
Right.
Because that's kind of what Flutie did. It was never particularly pretty, but he always found a way to do it, and he had that fourth quarter magic that the commentators in this game were gushing all over him.
They were.
But because there was even a thing in the Boston Globe talking about how basically the Bills had made the wrong choice sticking with Rob Johnson because he went in 2001 because the Chargers, who were 1-15 the year before, got Flutie and started off the season 5-2, and Rob Johnson, on the other hand, started the season 1-7 before he was benched for Alex Van Pelt, of all people.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I remember him. He was, fantastic.
Yeah, and he finished season 2-6, so he was one game better than Rob Johnson, who they paid a bunch of money for.
Because he is more talented.
Apparently, just barely.
it's a disaster.
Yeah, so Flutie
Although,
had
wasn't it an age thing though?
I mean, yeah, I think Flutie was getting up in age at that point.
Yeah.
Rob Johnson was 28 in 2001. And let's see how old Flutie was. He was probably significantly older. He was 39. So
Yeah, I mean, so
which is 100 in
the GM
years.
could have just basically said, it's an age thing, and we're trying to groom Rob Johnson, but instead he went with the talent. Angle. So,
and that came to back to bite him a little bit. But yeah, so Flutie had a decent year. He threw for almost 3,500 yards, 15 touchdowns, but he also threw 18 picks. So
Nice.
kind of up and down, which I think we saw a little bit of in this game. He was actually pretty good in this game, but not as effective in the red zone. He also finished with
he's 12-1 all time before this game at Foxborough.
That's true, yeah, but most of those games were playing for BC.
Hey, well, it counts.
But he had already done a stint with the Patriots before this,
Right?
which was interesting because I remember when he came back when he was like in his 40s.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he had the drop kick for the extra point.
Exactly.
But I didn't realize he started in Chicago back in the 80s, came to New England for a couple of years, didn't really play much. Well, he started a few games, actually. In 88, he actually started 9 games and went 6-3.
Yep.
But they didn't stick with him. Then he went to Buffalo and then San Diego and then back to New England for that 1 year.
Well, and I mean, Belichick had a lot of respect for him because, I'm at the end of the game, he sought him out, gave him a hug.
Yeah.
Again, that was before he sold his soul, which we established was circa 2004.
Right. Well, did you catch when, and this jumping ahead a little bit, but when Brady threw his last touchdown right at the end, they showed a shot of him celebrating.
Yeah.
And his face, like no smile, nothing. He just threw his hands up in the touchdown celebration.
Yeah.
That was it. And then he was done.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah. But the one other thing that they didn't actually mention at all in this game, but I found when I was doing research on the Chargers was the backup to Doug Flutie and was sitting on the bench was a rookie Drew Brees.
That's right.
Yeah. Who didn't see the game at all. And I think from what I remember, Drew Brees actually kind of struggled a bit at San Diego.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt, and then
He did, yeah.
And then they moved on, and we all know what happened. I will say though, one of my notes about Doug Flutie was I haven't seen anybody put as much effort into throwing a football since Drew Brees as Doug Flutie. He puts 120% effort in throwing that football. It looks like he's going to like tear his top half of his body off his bottom half.
Yeah, he does zip them in there though.
Oh, he does. But even like any sort of, it doesn't matter what it is. He's just slinging it. It's amazing.
So what you're saying is he's not the original Patrick Mahomes.
He is the top of the family tree. You know, if you were to do like almost like a coaching tree, but with quarterbacks, he's the top. And coming off of him at one side is Patrick Mahomes, and the other side is Drew Brees.
Wow. So it all starts with Flutie. I love it.
It does, yeah. That is the beginning of both of those guys' careers. Doug Flutie paved that way.
That he threw a Hail Mary pass at Boston College. It was completed.
That sounds familiar. Yeah, to beat like a undefeated Miami team or something like that, right?
That's right.
The number one ranked team at the time.
I don't know who it was, but
yeah,
I just remember the celebration videos.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Where he's wearing the cutoff shirt.
Yeah, hell yeah, the cutoff. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh god. Speaking of rookies on this Chargers team, their running back, you may have heard of him, LaDainian Tomlinson. This was his rookie season.
Hell of a rookie season.
Yeah, he ran for 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns this year. And at this point in the season was actually the leading rusher going into this game.
Well, it was insane, too, because they were pointing out that at this point, week 5, he had 7 touchdowns. And the previous year, the Chargers had 7 rushing touchdowns total.
Yeah, and he already had it in week 5.
Yeah, it was a pretty big upgrade. Although, now that we talk about it, though, week 5, he had 7 touchdowns. He finished the year with 10 touchdowns.
My guess is that either teams figured him out or they just figured that offense out because, I mean, they stopped winning games. So my guess is they got behind and had to just start chucking the ball and got away from actually running it. Because even this game, they tried to stick with the run, but LT finished 24 carries, 74 yards. So it's not great. I mean, he had a touchdown, but as long as run was 14, it's not like he was blowing things up in this game. I mean, he looked good and he had some pretty strong runs.
Yeah.
But the Patriots actually kept him surprisingly bottled up for how much the commentators were talking him up. I thought it was going to be a bigger deal.
He also made me think of you because, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't he one of your favorite players of all time?
No, it was exactly the opposite.
Correct on that one.
Exactly. I've hated him ever since he came out.
I'm pretty sure you had a jersey, didn't you?
No, not me.
Sure?
Yeah.
You don't want to admit it to the public?
I don't buy non-Patriot. Actually, I do buy non-Patriot jerseys, but they're of usually failures. My favorite is Maurice Claret jersey.
Oh, that's a sore subject.
Hey, it was a cheap jersey. I'll tell you that. I got it for like $15. And like whatever that Marshalls is in Lawrence.
Oh yeah.
It sells like all the jerseys with like I've got a couple of ones. I think I have ones like Tim Couch. I've got one that
are they like legit though, or are they like slightly wonky?
No, well these ones are actually pretty legit. I have one that's I can't remember who it was, some Bills receiver, but the name was put on upside down.
Oh yeah. I had a Dave Meggett where the numbers were off center by quite a bit.
Yeah, so we probably shopped at the same place then.
Yeah,
and I had who was the Raiders quarterback? Aaron Brooks, was it?
Oh, Aaron Brooks, yeah.
Yeah, so I got one of those. So I was giving those away as Christmas gifts back in college. So I don't actually have them anymore, but they're out there.
Well, all right. If you don't want to admit to being the hugest, not hugest, but top 5 biggest fans of LaDainian, then we can move on. But I think remember it. I don't know. I
think you may be confusing me with one of my brothers, so we'll have to ask them when they come back on.
I don't know. We're going on the record that we're a LaDainian fan, the biggest.
All right, yeah, a LaDainian stan, if you will.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
No, he sucks.
He was really good. He was just
Patriots. If he wasn't such a blowhard. Actually, he wasn't even blower-harding anything. He was he's a kind of a pansy, and he whined a lot. But anyways, he has a vendetta. Him and Marshall Faulk, they hate the Patriots with a passion. I'm sick of it.
They do. And Mark Brunell, of all people.
Mark Brunell. Yeah, he was crying over Deflategate. I don't know if you remember that.
Get over legitimately yourself, crying on television.
Come on.
Some people. Jerry Rice.
He was just mad because he lost the AFC Championship against them.
Yep. I agree.
Jerry Rice, Mr. Stickum, love the guy, but he admits to cheating himself, which I would say, deflated or not, intentional or not, who gives a crap about 1 PSI? But if you got glue in your hands, that probably has a contribution to certain parts of the game.
You would think, wouldn't you?
Receiver. Yeah. But hey, who am I?
Yeah,
Can we get Jerry Rice on here? We at that point.
I guarantee he'd come on right now to defend his honor.
Yeah, so let's do that.
All right. I'll have our people talk to his people. See what we can set up.
Make it happen, man, because I'm furious.
All right. Speaking of wide receivers, though, had you heard of any of these Chargers wide receivers? Because here's the list that I have. I have Curtis Conway, who was their leading receiver.
I remember him.
I didn't. Jeff Graham, who, if you had told me the name Jeff Graham, I would have thought he was like a stand-up comedian.
He is. He's fucking hilarious. His stand-up special came out 2 months ago. I highly recommend you watch it. I think it's on Netflix. I'm not sure.
Okay, all right. I'll keep an eye out for that when I'm browsing Netflix.
Yeah, he's really good.
And then the only name I actually did recognize was Tim Dwight.
Tim Dwight was good. Solid returner.
He eventually played for the Patriots.
When was that? I vaguely remember that.
I don't remember. It was like end of his career, and he didn't last very long. I think he was just there to do punt returns.
Nice.
I think he was supposed to spell either Welker or Edelman at punt returns, and he didn't do very well.
Gotcha.
But he was good in this game. The Patriots couldn't stop a wide receiver slant, or they just didn't want to.
And they apparently forgot how to tackle on special teams.
Oh yeah, kickoffs were an adventure, to say the least, for both sides, I feel like.
Yeah, look, I mean, I've been a champion of Lee Johnson.
Oh, we'll get to Lee Johnson. Just you wait. I got a big old section on Lee Johnson to talk about.
Okay, I'll hold off. But, I mean,
all right.
I'm championing this guy, and that's the problem with putting yourself out there.
Yeah, you shouldn't have done it. But the defense actually has some even bigger names, I thought. Some names that Pats fans will also recognize, because both Rodney Harrison and Junior Seau, who made the Pro Bowl this year, ended up
Junior
playing
Seau
for the
made
Patriots.
The Pro Bowl this year?
Mm-hmm.
Like 2019?
No, the 2001, this year that we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
The reason for this podcast, Mr. Mello.
I thought you were saying, okay, gotcha.
Keep up. Yeah, I don't think he's making any Pro Bowls this year.
Right. I thought you were being insensitive.
No.
Oh, okay. No,
Junior Seau, rest in peace, bud.
Yeah, exactly. He was awesome.
Yeah, he was the heart and soul of the team.
And, he was.
Yeah, so it was those two, and also Marcellus Wiley on the defensive line, and I guess Ryan McNeil, the cornerback, went to the Pro Bowl this year as well. Those four were all Pro Bowls on defense. Yeah. So, setting the stage there, I think, talking about how good this defense was, we should actually start talking about the Patriots offense, and especially Tom Brady, because this to me was the first game that Brady actually was the reason the Patriots won, like in his career.
Well, way to bring that up so quickly before we even talk about it. Give it a little suspense, man. Now, no one remembers the outcome of these games.
We've given this game fucking 20 years of suspense.
No, we gotta. All right, fine. They won, guys. They won this game. No, I actually, I think this is me being serious here. Okay. I think that this game, outside of any championship or playoff games, it's probably, and it's one that you don't even think about, but it's probably like one of the top 20 regular season games of the dynasty, and it's definitely worth a rewatch if anyone has access to it.
Yeah, I 100%. Because I was watching the game today, and it got I think it was 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I knew what the outcome was.
Yeah,
I'm still sitting there. I had a moment of doubt of like, wait, they do win this game, right? Like how? I'm not quite sure how it's going to happen, because they're down 10 points with 8 minutes left and going against this ridiculous defense.
Right.
And
I highly recommend not knowing the results going in, man, because I didn't, and I was like, "Whoa, this is pretty cool." I feel like I'm reliving everything all over again.
See that, because that's how you've been watching games, but I knew, because I've been, for my website, I've been in this all these stats and everything and the results and all that for a while now. True. So I've kind of I know from numbers wise and win loss wise how the season went on.
Yeah,
but I don't actually remember watching this game. I don't remember any. I remember Brady throwing his first touchdown. That plays is in my mind, and then the game winner that he threw to Wiggins.
Well, what's sad about this? I think I didn't miss a Patriots game for, I think, until 2007, to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
So it was probably I don't know, 15, 20 years, 15 years of straight football. And I didn't want to miss a game. It was very important to me, and I love watching the Patriots. It's a good time. But looking back, I'm I don't remember a damn thing about anything that I watched. And I made sure to watch every one of them. So maybe they all bleed in together, but I feel looking back, I'm man, maybe I shouldn't have tried to catch every single one.
But no, I just feel because it's also been 20 years.
I know. And at the moment, you're experiencing it, as it happens. So it's one thing, but I'm I do not remember most of this. So it's great to watch it again.
It really is. Yeah. I was thinking the exact same thing. It's this for how like all the feelings that I remember this season, like the bits and pieces that I remember, I thought I remembered more than I actually did.
Yeah.
Because all of these games that I watched, with the exception of the Jets one where Bledsoe went down, I remembered almost nothing of any of these games.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is almost like part of it is watching it for the first time,
Yeah.
but you know how it's going to end up, which is kind of cool. And there's also that added thing of like getting to see Tom Brady, like, as a young foal taking his first steps
Oh,
being
yeah.
born, knowing what that's going to turn into, and like
Well,
just hearing all the commentators talking about like, oh, this young kid might be something one day.
Right.
Like, oh,
Well,
if
and I
only
also
you knew,
thought it was
bud.
fascinating because the game itself was awesome to watch, but
Yeah.
but the game before, he sort of got crapped on by Miami,
Yeah.
so they everyone was just writing him off like we talked about, and they're like, oh, what controversy, whatever. And
Yeah.
after this game, it sort of like reinvigorated everything.
I think it did. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think this was the beginning of the actual quarterback controversy for the Patriots in this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, because like you said, like the Patriots, it felt like they had been written off because they're 1-3 at this point. And when I was putting together all like the Boston Globe's like sports pages for the day of and then the day after, like pre and post game, the front page of the sports section the day of the game didn't have anything about the Patriots on it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Just wasn't there. And it wasn't like the Red Sox. I think the Red Sox have been eliminated from the playoffs. So just talking about like it was all just baseball playoffs basically, and some hockey stuff. But there was no mention of the Patriots.
I mean, that's pretty interesting that it's been what, almost 20 years since they were an afterthought.
Yeah, because it wouldn't happen again. Because this is when they kind of started winning, and it didn't really stop for the next 19 years.
The other incredible thing about this is like, and I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but watching this team kind of grow from the 2000 season until now, and then eventually what they became, it's almost as if like you were watching like the Bengals, right? So the Bengals, they crap themselves every year, and then one year there's this kid, like the Minshew guy or all these new kids up, and they take the team by storm, and they never let it up, right? So they don't lose their job, and it just continues from that point on. So imagine the Bengals just becoming a powerhouse for the next 20 years tomorrow. That's what happened basically.
Yeah, when their $100 million franchise starting quarterback goes down, and they're like, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna start this random dude who nobody's ever heard of. Yeah, like a Gardner Minshew. Yeah, if he had just taken them and just won the rest of the games and won the Super Bowl, and then stuck around for the next 20 years.
Yep.
Like that's really hard to imagine. Even if you want to put like Patrick Holmes in that list, it's like, yeah, they got rid of a solid quarterback in Alex Smith, and now all of a sudden this kid that nobody really knew about, even though he was drafted in the first round, taking the world by storm. But even he's like struggling, and
now,
he didn't win a Super Bowl his first year. Like, what the fuck?
Right. MVP.
Yeah, but the one thing I noticed about the Patriots' offensive game plan this was that it seemed like they were going to be trusting Tom Brady in the game, even against this defense.
Right. I mean, that's interesting. You think that they had that going in because the run game was not working from the beginning.
That's true. But I mean, like they started the second drive like inside their own 10-yard line. The first play was 5 wide, 0 running back, empty backfield, and letting Tom Brady throw out of his own end zone. It's like,
yeah, you're right. I mean, I also so he threw for over 50 passes in this game, which is insane.
He did. This is actually, I was looking it up. It's the kind of 11th most passes he's ever thrown.
That's crazy. Yeah, right off the bat. But I was also wondering, because I mean that defense was like brutal. I mean, it was they're fast, they're big, and they blitz a lot, especially with Rodney and Jr. So do you think that part of it was, especially when the run game just crapped itself, do you think that Belichick was like, you know what, we're going to give this kid experience and whatever happens, happens? Or do you think it was more of we're going to win this by doing it this way?
I mean, I think I don't know. It felt like they were like, yeah, no, this kid can do what we ask of him.
Mm.
And I don't think they were asking a ton because there was a whole lot of like bubble screens, and basically it seemed like they told him, if one of your wide receivers,
Mm-hmm.
if the defensive back playing against him is off him for 10 yards, just like catch the ball and chuck it at him and let him get that 8-9 yards, before the guy can get to him, because they did that a bunch of times.
So what you're saying is that the Tom Brady game plan hasn't changed for 20 years.
Well, I mean, he was still throwing down the ball. He could throw a beautiful out route.
He could, but his deep ball, man, like I wrote that was like one of the weaker, the weaker spots in his game was his deep ball. And I know he's never been like a perfect deep ball guy anyway, but in this game, it looked like it needed to be worked on. Like, he was precise, he was accurate, his decision making was great, but like, his deep balls were a little off.
I thought he had a couple that were like right in the money, but they were dropped. I can remember one specifically from Patton down the sideline. But it was surprising to see him overthrowing deep balls.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously you need timing down with those guys.
Yeah.
And, he didn't have a lot of work, but
you don't ever really see him overthrow anybody anymore. Like that's not
he can't. Just kidding, guys.
But yeah, so this game he did throw his first ever touchdown pass to the vaunted Terry Glenn, who had what I felt was a very Terry Glenn game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And before we even get into that, like, do you find it odd, compared to maybe now even, do you find it odd that Belichick, after suspending from a year, then he got reduced to 4 games, and then he was forced to come back, he didn't have to play him. So
it's true.
Didn't you find that it was odd that once the suspension got reduced, that he was this active in the first game that he was back?
No. For a couple of reasons. One, the main reason is because Belichick always says, I'm doing what's best for the team. And what's best for the team was to have that talent on the field. And especially because it was this defense. Mm-hmm. And because they knew, I'm guessing they knew they were going to have to throw it. And so to give Brady that option, because I don't remember how many catches he had in the first half, Terry Glenn, but
I think it was like 9.
Yeah, and he went for like 97 yards and a touchdown.
Or maybe it was like 6, actually. But yeah, it was up there.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but he was kind of the main option for Brady, throwing balls kind of at the sideline that Terry Glenn would make these diving toe tap catches.
Amazing. Which, I mean, if social media was like prominent around that time, he might be like the next Odell Beckham based on team's catches alone.
Yeah, he was making a ton of them. I mean, I think he had 1 catch in the second half, but so it was very Terry Glenn just like disappeared immediately when the game actually started.
How about, dude? He had I think 3 back-to-back sideline grabs, and they were all like, one of them he went dead leg. He basically caught the ball, and as he was flying out of bounds, his legs drop, and I don't know how this is humanly possible, but they drop. He did another one that was very similar, and then the third time, he definitely caught a sideline catch, and they called it incomplete. And
oh, that's right, yeah.
Anyway, or whatever, but that was a beautiful catch as well. So
yeah,
it was incredible to watch. But yeah, he disappeared in the second half for whatever reason.
Yep. Yeah, it's just typical Terry Glenn. Like, but I mean, we were talking before. We his entire career with the Patriots, he never had multiple touchdowns in a game.
Right.
Which is mind blowing for how good of a player he was.
Well, did I say that Randy Moss never had one either?
I believe you made that claim.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I believe it was quickly debunked, but yes, if you want to stick with that, you're more than welcome.
Okay. I'm just saying that, great players don't necessarily have that all the time. But no, I was correlating this to things like remember when Wes Welker was like, making a couple of foot jokes with what's his face?
Rex Ryan. Yeah.
So Belichick, even though it wasn't the greatest thing for the team, he benched him for the first quarter of that game, and they lost. So
that's true. Yeah.
I'm like, why? Where's the double standard? Unless he just didn't like Wes, which I know that is sort of rumored anyway. But
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wonder if we would know more if this, like you said, this was happening today in the age of social media, and if it would be more along the lines of seeing what Antonio Brown has been putting out there, if it would have
True.
been similar to that.
Yeah, I don't know, but Wes was like such a quiet dude anyway. Except for that one moment he got punished,
Yeah.
I thought fairly severely. I mean, wasn't that a playoff
Yeah.
game?
Mm,
I think it was.
was that the playoff game? I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a playoff game when he was benched for the first quarter.
It may have been, yeah. That was just a bad game all around.
So I don't know. Now here's a, maybe it's an out there question. I don't know. You can tell me. But do you think that we could get Belichick on here at some point and have him discuss that?
After he retires, yes.
Oh, you think so?
I think that would, yeah, because by the time we've actually caught up to modern day Patriots in 19 years or however long it'll take us to do that, he will hopefully have eventually retired at that point if he's still alive. And then we will have him on because we will be the preeminent Patriots podcast.
Dude, in like 20 years, I'm going to hold you to this. So,
okay. All right.
If I remember.
If either of us is still alive in 20 years, right. Let's be honest.
It's a long time.
Yeah. All right. So going back to Brady, the one other note I had on here was a couple, but the one that I want to talk about next is I noticed that there was a whole lot of hard counts from Tom Brady. And I think that was in direct correlation to what the Chargers defense was doing. Because it felt like every single play, at least Junior Seau, if not both middle linebackers, would run up and pretend to try time the snap count.
Yep.
And both of them kind of like jumped on either side of the center there. And
that's right.
I think even on the first drive, they had I had it written down somewhere, but I think it was the first drive they had 2 offsides penalties trying to time that.
Yep.
That jump, and at least one of them was on Junior Seau. And then again, like towards the end of the game, even Rodney Harrison got into it, was like trying to time that would like jump over. And they actually on occasion managed to get back on sides before the ball was actually snapped, but it was very
that was sort of a knock on them at that time in their careers as well, though, because I think they were very sharp and aggressive, but then at the same time, they were also very emotional.
Yeah.
And so, if one or two things goes awry or, you hurt your team, I mean, they might be overcompensating, and that sort of creates a whole different issue with the defense. So.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah. I mean, I think they had. I know the Chargers ended this game with like twice as many penalties as the Patriots had. The vast majority of those were on the defense for things like jumping off sides or just getting a bit too, like you said, emotional.
Right. Well, and I also thought it was interesting in what Brady was doing, and I think it was foreshadowing the rest of his career. But I mean, this kid's a young kid. He's third game in, and the defense was aggressive, and he was willing to. You could already see him throwing footballs at like people's feet on screens.
Yes.
So he was willing to give up that play, which he never lost. But that's pretty unique for a young kid, and I don't necessarily remember thinking about that back then.
Right.
But yeah, looking back, I mean, he was pretty good at avoiding that kind of stuff and being aware of what was happening with the defense.
Yeah, it was like the antithesis of Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah, it really was, man. I know
we were trying to trying to chuck that ball like no look pass over his shoulder as he's getting sacked, which is usually picked off in return for a touchdown.
Yeah, no. So and I also like. Belichick was already throwing out different types of defense and whatnot on the other side of it. So they were you could see little bits of both of them kind of coming together, which was I thought pretty cool.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Patriots defense. That's a good segue.
Yeah.
Because I thought they balled out in this game. This was the prototypical bend don't break defensive like showcase. Because the Chargers were, I think, the best team in the red zone. I think they showed a stat early on.
Yep.
Or like, I don't know, top 3 or whatever it was, like in scoring red zone touchdowns.
Yeah.
which I'm assuming most of those were LaDainian Tomlinson runs because he already had 7 up to that point in the season. But the Patriots defense held the Chargers to, I think it was at least 2, maybe 3 red zone stops, where like the Chargers had, I think, first and goal from the 1 or the 2 and couldn't score in the first.
Right,
quarter.
and that was in the first quarter. Yeah, so
Yep.
It was 3-3 at that point. But
Yep.
I think that was a major turning point just to kind of prove what they could do.
Exactly, and then they did it again at the end of the half too.
Yep.
And I think that actually ended in a missed field goal.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They.
Yeah,
Well, no. The wasn't the end of the half a miss by Vinatieri actually?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it was. Yeah, it was actually to begin the second quarter.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, because then the Chargers drove all the way down, and then kind of went 3 and out in the inside the 10-yard line, like first and goal.
Mm-hmm.
Missed the field goal, and then the Patriots actually from there marched all the way down the field, and Brady scored his first touchdown.
Well, and to piggyback off of that, I know we're talking defense, but it was funny because Tom Brady throws his first touchdown.
Yeah.
Vinatieri misses the extra point.
Yes.
And then they're running the 2-minute drill. The Pats are in the second quarter. Terry Glenn, another beautiful sideline catch.
Yes.
Brady driving it pretty well executed 2-minute drill, and then Vinatieri misses the field goal. So that could be enough to just crush a team right there.
Yeah, and just you don't ever remember Vinatieri ever missing field goals, and apparently these were the first that he missed this season too.
Oh yeah, he was 6 for 6, and it always extra points.
Yeah, but he would always have one of these games every once in a while. I remember he had one of these against the Texans where the commentators kept saying, "Oh, he's never missed a kick indoors in his however many years of playing," and he missed 4 in that game before he kicked the game winner in overtime against a team they should have blown the doors off of.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it was. They had a lot of different things working against them, but we could go back to the defense and tackle those later.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. We can keep talking about Tom Brady. I'll talk about Tom Brady for days because that 2-minute offense, I think, should be called out as well because it was a whole. I think 2-minute Tom Brady was still there, but the offense itself, it was like a slow-mo version of what they do now.
Mm-hmm.
And he was still trying to do trickery, but he wasn't good at it because you could see him the fake spike play.
Yeah,
where you can see he's calling routes to the receivers, but then he's doing I'm going to spike it. And I'm like, nobody fall for that except for the commentators. Like, oh, I can't believe he threw the ball there. It looked like a fake spike. He was calling a play before he said he was going to do his fake spike. It took him 45 seconds to get it off too.
Yeah, and the awareness of just timeouts and things like that. I made a note towards the end of the game as well. He executed the way he was supposed to, but I think he left 30 seconds on the clock, and I just know that at some point Brady would never let that happen. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I bet he looks back on that now and be like, "Oh, what the fuck was I thinking?"
Right, and it almost came back to haunt them too. So 30 seconds is a pretty big deal.
Yep. Yeah. I wanted to make sure we talk about that, but let's go back to the Patriots defense,
right? Because
there was one stat at the beginning of the game that I thought felt a little bit like this season, kind of, where
I know what you're saying.
They mentioned that the Patriots defensive backs had scored more touchdowns than Patriots wide receivers by a margin of 2-1.
Yeah, that's insane.
Which is brutal.
It is very reminiscent of today, though.
A little bit. I mean, not quite to the same extent.
No.
But yeah, that was.
And to your point, that's sort of why Terry Glenn was brought back, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, because it had been what I think a lot of commentators' favorite word is when talking about offense like this. It had been anemic.
Right.
It hadn't been much. If we're going to do a bit of a crossover, Brian Cox, who's been, I think, probably the defensive player of this season so far up until this point.
Yeah, playing like an animal. And, he's the energy behind that defense too. So,
oh my God,
the guys are just throwing their bodies around.
Yeah, and they're feeding off of him. You can feel it from watching the game. But I think his big play of this game actually came on offense when he lined up his fullback on a 3rd and 1.
Yep.
And then they threw it to him, and he caught it and got a first down.
That was pretty awesome.
That was beautiful. I'm like, oh my God, a linebacker catching passes from Tom Brady. This is some trickery. I'm like, oh, just you wait. Vrabel's time is coming. But
Vrabel, we don't need to touch on that now, but man, his numbers as a tight end are phenomenal.
They really are. They're out of control. The other quote I had related to the offense actually here, I'm jumping all over the place, was tight end has been really absent from the passing game. This is where they miss a player like Ben Coates, which you could replace Ben Coates with Rob Gronkowski this year, and it feels, again, very familiar in the red zone.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, there was talk of the present-day Patriots sort of resembling the 2003 and 2004 Patriots, where it was solid defense, these sort of shorter plays, relying on passing backs or receiving backs. So you might be right. Now, I don't know if that has to do with Brady's age. I don't think so, because I don't think his play has fallen that much. I think it's just a structure of the team at this point.
I think this year it's mostly just injuries to all the big beef on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, but in 2001, I guess it was just building a foundation that this. I was going to say Brady can kind of build off of and have a security blanket, but I guess with a guy like Bledsoe, you probably would want a security blanket if he could pick up that concept as well.
Right.
And I don't think he ever did, obviously, but.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I think one of the bright spots I noticed on defense was every time Lawyer Malloy blitzed, because his timing was impeccable.
Oh, yeah, I wish that we could show this play, but
which one? There was a couple.
Well, there's one that he blasted Flutie, and he was like, it was just Malloy and him, and and Flutie, to his credit, I mean, he tried to kind of get away, but he did not. And
he did not have a chance. Play. Yeah. But yeah, because it was one of those ones where he came from his safe position and just timed it perfectly. So he hit the line and just came through unblocked. And he did it once on a running play too, and caught LT in the backfield and just lit him up. That man could lay the wood like no other. Right.
Or deliver the wood, as we learned last week on Football or Not Football.
That is correct. Yes. Yeah. Speaking of football or not football, let's get to your boy Lee Johnson, because what he was doing out there could be considered either football or not football.
I don't.
Did you like that?
Yeah,
that was a segue right there, bud.
It was great, and you're absolutely right. I don't know what the hell was going on with this guy. It's funny too. Before we even get into what happened in this game with this guy, at the end of the game, they interviewed him, and they were basically like, what if you get cut? What happens? And he basically said, "I've killed us enough." That's a direct quote. "I've killed us enough. If it happens, it happens." He was 40 years old. Yeah, he was 40 years old, and he finished the game because of one of his plays with negative 19 rushing yards. So all in all, I don't know. Maybe this was his last game. We'll find out. But
I'm not sure actually.
He admitted that he has been sucking, and he was okay with being cut, essentially.
I mean, this was bad. His first punt was awful, and his second punt was really bad, but he got a good bounce off of it. But the last punt, it felt like your typical Patriots way of losing the game, where he was standing on his own 10-yard line, got the ball, and went to go punt it. It was taking forever, and a free rusher came in. So he tried to take the ball and put it around his back, because I think he was going to try to sidestep the guy and then kick it, but the guy caught him. So he kind of had it in his he was holding onto the end of the ball with his fingers, and he was getting spun around, and the ball just flew out of his hand backwards. So now the ball's sitting on the 5-yard line. The guy that tackled him gets up, picks up the ball. Lee Johnson gets up and just kind of watches him, and then realizes, oh fuck, this play's still going, and goes to try to tackle him and gets lit up by some other guy who's come and knocked his head off, while the guy who recovered the fumble just waltzes in for a touchdown, who was a backup fullback. He wasn't even some sort of role player on this team.
Right. Well, and you know why he did that, which doesn't make any sense to me, but he has been in the league for so long at this point that
Yeah.
he said he had seen this. He's been rushed by a million guys, and so he feels that like because they're all full steam ahead, you could sort of like fake them out and then get the ball off. But he said that even when he was in the grasp of the defender, he felt confident that he could still get the kickoff. And if anybody can see this play, he is holding it out like I can't even like give a proper analogy of this, but he's basically holding it out so that anybody can grab it.
Yeah, I feel
like 20 seconds.
I'm gonna see if I can cap that play and we'll put it online and link.
If that happens nowadays, that guy is cut tomorrow.
Oh my god! It's on SportsCenter's not top 10 for weeks as well because it was brutal. And this was to put the Patriots down by 10 points with 8 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, and at this point, because again, I didn't know the score or anything going into it, so I was just like, "Oh wow, well they blew this one." I was also thinking, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say this is exactly the point where I thought, wait, they win this one, right? Like they're running out of time real fucking fast here.
That's funny. Well, I was thinking, man, like this is going through my head a lot. Again, I didn't know what the score was going to be, so I was like, man, are they going to start off the season like 1-4? Like this is insane. And then I was thinking, you see, it's like the butterfly effect, right? So you see Bledsoe is like coaching up Brady. They're all like best friends.
Yes, yeah.
Basically holding hands and like, sharing secrets. And then, he's also riding high. Belichick is, giving him opportunities. And of course, he wins this game and things change as the season goes on, right? Maybe Bledsoe's demeanor changes a little bit. Belichick stands by him, whatever. But if they lose this game and of course it wasn't Brady's fault, but if they lose this game after Miami, so now they're 1-4.
1-4, right?
And then eventually Bledsoe within a week or two comes back, it could definitely change the course of everything. I mean, Belichick might at that point decide to go with the backup anyway to see what he has, but
it's true.
Everything could be different. And remember how he said with these rules nowadays, and if Bledsoe stayed with the greatest coach of all time, he could very well be the GOAT. Okay? Let's be honest. He could be the GOAT. Yes, he could. Just be honest with yourself.
No, he would have been good. I don't know if he would have been the GOAT.
He would have been the GOAT.
Just remember, we're talking about Drew Bledsoe in fourth quarters of games here.
Hey, he would have been the GOAT. He would have learned how to throw
he would have put up numbers.
But he would learn how to dink and dunk, right? Belichick would beat it into him. And we would be talking about Bledsoe potentially having 12 Super Bowls right now. But instead, Brady, which I think is still lucky with like 6 at the moment, but potentially 7. Who knows? But
he might get to 12. You never know.
I'm not saying we might be better off with Bledsoe, but things would have been different.
Yes. I think so.
So thank God. And thank God for Lee Johnson because Brady can thank him probably for a spot because he became the hero. Without Lee Johnson, maybe there's no heroics at the end.
Maybe not this level of heroics.
You know what, though? I'm going to retract my statement on Lee Johnson. Fuck it. I like him.
Yeah, I agree. He was the character that this team needed. Definitely a glue guy.
Is that like a Batman reference? Like he was the villain that the hero needed?
Sure.
All right.
We'll go with that.
But anyways, he was the villain that the Patriots needed, man.
Yeah.
I hope he sticks around for the rest of the year. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. So I mean that sets up the Patriots down by 10 with 8 minutes left.
Right, and I'm sorry.
They get obviously
get so animated.
No, it's great. But they get the ball back. They drive down the field and get inside the 10, but then kick a field goal because they ran out of time, or they ran out of they got on 4th down and they decided to kick a field goal instead. So now I
thought it was funny because the announcers, again, fantastic. They're going, look, what do you think? What do you think happens? I think you got to go for a touchdown. You're this close. 4th down, you got to go for a touchdown. And then when they bring out the field goal unit, they're like, this is a smart play. You got to kick the field goal here.
You're down by 2 anyway. You're down by 2 scores anyway, yeah. But they were also saying that they're like, oh, they definitely should go for it here. It's I'm not surprised they're leaving the offense on the field. They they should be going for a touchdown here. That makes sense because it was third down.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But then so they didn't get it then, and Brady's running completion, and then the fourth down comes and they trot the field goal. Like, oh, actually, yeah, no, the field goal here makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Oh, so yeah, so they kick the field goal, and there's like 4 minutes left in this game with LaDainian Tomlinson and Doug Flutie in his fourth quarter magic, which we had heard about pretty much for the previous 3 hours, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
But the Patriots hold him a 3 and out, barely. The first play of that drive was an 8-yard run by LT to get them the 2nd and 2.
Right.
And we're getting towards the 2-minute warning. I'm like, they do win this, right? That was the second one. But then they held him 2 more runs, held him, got to the 2-minute warning or something like that. Called a couple timeouts. Get the ball back, and Troy Brown has a ridiculous punt return.
He does, and even before that, it was before the 2-minute warning. It was after that 8-yard run. It was a 2nd and 2 and a 3rd and 1 with about I think it was like 2:23 left.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so Troy Brown gets the punt return, and even with that penalty that gets called, it's still a sizable return.
Yeah, because his return brings it to like the
40?
San Diego 40. Yeah, like it was a ridiculous return. It's like your typical Troy Brown return, but then got called back for holding, put them back on their own 40, which is still great field position.
Yeah.
And then Brady.
And I'll say this.
Brady.
From this point forward in the rest of the game, it was like, and I'm talking defense, offense, everything. It was probably one of the better games I've watched in a long time.
It was like I was super excited. I'm sitting there yelling at my TV, even though I know what happened at the end.
Right.
I'm like, there's no way he caught that. Because it was, your typical, it was basically Brady and Troy Brown at the end of the game on that last drive, it felt like.
Yeah, although David Patton got about 26 yards.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
3-yard line.
Yep, that's true.
But so it was 40 seconds left when they're on the 3, and this is what I'm talking about. They had one timeout left.
Yes.
And basically, like, Brady burns it with 30 seconds left. There's no way they do that now. They'd probably wait till about 25 seconds, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say 17, Enough to run 3 plays, and that's it.
Exactly.
That's what you're gonna keep running plays until you either run out of time or you're gonna run 4 plays and you're gonna do it as quickly as possible. So leave yourself just enough time to do that. And that's it. But you're right. And then the commentators were gushing over the play, which is basically just a play action, like a heavy run play action passing to Jermaine Wiggins in the back corner of the end zone, who was a lot bigger than I remember him being.
Yeah,
and a hefty boy, that one.
But also like pretty like shifty too. He's he had a little bit of agility to him, but
he was definitely not a receiving option that the Chargers were at all worried about because he was wide the fuck open.
Yeah, but I feel like this was foreshadowing basically the whole playoff run.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll talk about, but Jermaine Wiggins wasn't a household name, but I mean he's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah. So that ties it up with a few seconds left, like 30-something seconds left.
Yep.
Patriots kick it off, and the Chargers had a ridiculous return again on a kickoff. Like they basically start the 40-yard line every drive.
Right.
And then.
But wasn't that the one that Tabucky Jones laid out the returner, which was?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, no, that one was. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a Loy Malloy-esque hit. You just put his shoulder in the guy's shoulder and knocked his ass over.
The tackling and the kickoffs and all that. From that point on, everything was just spectacular. It was like almost like too much.
Oh yeah, it was. Everything was perfect. Obviously the Chargers don't score. They almost got into field goal range, and there was some like fuckery with Doug Flutie tried to spike the ball. Stop the clock.
I don't think I've ever seen this before.
No, but
other than when I was watching this game originally.
Yeah, so he pulled the ball up to like pulled his arm back to spike it, and the ball fell out of his hand, and then he like tried to spike it but missed, and the Patriots recovered it, but the ref said because they blew the whistle when the ball hit the ground, they still got the ball back, but it moved the field goal back 5 yards.
Yeah.
So instead of being like a 52-yarder, a 57-yarder, and the kicker came up like 3 yards short.
Well, and that was a big controversy, not in that game, but like for a couple of years, where it was that whole thing where can you challenge something that has been whistled down? And there were enough of these plays that they eventually turned it over to what it is today, where you can pretty much challenge everything and overturn it. But yeah, because the whistle blew, there's nothing that Belichick could do about it.
Right, because that was the rule back in that time.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, even that, because if you saw the replay, you could see a bunch of the sideline for the Chargers run onto the field thinking the guy hit the field goal because it was straight down the middle. He just missed it short by a couple of yards.
Right.
So
and then I think the kickoff that you were talking about was the one in overtime.
Yes, you're right. I got them mixed up because the Chargers actually won the toss.
Right.
And returned the ball to the 40-yard line. So they didn't need many yards. You go 20 yards and you're funny. Within field goal range now.
Vinatieri could never kick into the end zone.
No, not until they moved the
funny.
Yeah, not until they moved the kickoff up.
Right. And it's not even like the Gostowski thing where like he could like just boot it high up in the air and travel that far.
And put it at the 1. No, he's putting it at like the 13-yard line.
Yeah, man. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it was not a position of strength for this team at this point.
Right.
But yeah, so the Chargers get the ball at their own 40, need basically 20, 25 yards to go.
Yep.
And they had actually been driving like late in the second half of this game. The Patriots defense felt like they were kind of wearing down a bit, but in this particular instance, they held. The Chargers went 3 and out, had to punt the ball back to the Patriots. First play from scrimmage, Brady throws a bomb down the right side of the field to Patton, I believe it was. David Patton.
Yeah, but the crazy thing about this play is that it was an all-out blitz by San Diego, and he stood in the pocket. He kind of did his little dance in there and threw it up for classic like PI.
Yeah, and it was a blatant pass interference.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, so Patton got dragged down by Molden, who had a whole section in the next day's paper talking about how he didn't think it was an actual legit call. But he obviously didn't watch the replay because it was pretty blatant. He got the ball was thrown a little bit too inside, and he was playing inside technique. And so Patton tried to cut back inside to him, and he just fucking straight up tackled his ass.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anybody celebrate harder for getting a pass interference called than David Patton on that play. He was dancing like a motherfucker. He was doing like a legitimate jig.
Well, and it's funny too because their celebration after this game was reminiscent of every team that I think we hate. Like, you remember when like the Broncos with Daniels?
Yes.
The pass, he's like freaking. It was like the Super Bowl for them. This was a good Super Bowl at that time.
Yeah, it's like even the Ravens beating the Patriots this year with Lamar Jackson, where they're taking the team photo after the game.
Oh yeah, come on.
It's like this is the Patriots Super Bowl at this point.
Yeah, it's so funny, but of course it ends on a Vinatieri field goal.
All right, hang on a second. I gotta relocate for a second.
Oh boy. Well, this is embarrassing.
We're cutting this out.
Apologize. No, you leave it in. Don't be a bitch.
You tell me how to live my life.
There's nothing wrong with technical difficulties. I don't know if you're grabbing a snack or something, what you're doing. I mean, I don't know where your hands are right now. I can't really see them.
I'm shifting to the living room.
Shifting what?
My whole setup to the living room so Aaron can go to bed.
Could you hear me yell at you?
No, but I'll make sure.
Okay, that's probably good. We got to keep this. We got to keep some of this. You can't cut it out because that's BS. You got to listen back to it. If it's too aggressive, cut it. But some of it could be good.
All right. Well, I just didn't want to skip over the fact that you were trying to just like end this game without talking about Brady on the next third down, because I think this was probably, I don't want to say the biggest Brady play, but it was kind of very I don't know how to put it. This was kind of like
Talk me through it.
It was a third down. It's like 3rd and 3 or something. Like after the pass interference, and the Chargers brought pressure from both sides. So it was a guy coming unblocked right into Brady's face. another guy come in on his blind side who caught him like below the knees, and then the other guy like chopped him over the top. And he just like floated the ball over the rusher to him and hit Falk.
You're right. Yeah. It was a nice touch pass.
Yeah, because they were like right on the border of field goal range.
Yeah.
And Brady just like stood there and just waited to the last possible second, just like lofted it over the guy so that Falk could get the first down. And now they're like well within like middle of field goal range. It's like a 40-something yard instead of like a 50, like a long 50-yarder.
You are correct.
And so that was just like that beginning inkling of, oh, this Brady kid, like he doesn't get rattled at all. Like that, just imagining like watching Drew Bledsoe in those situations for all these years.
Yeah, the greatest.
How he would have handled that. Yeah, and how he would have handled that versus this kid who's this is his second official start, his third game.
Yeah.
So it's just that kind of like, this was, I think that it's just those little plays like that where you think, oh, this kid might be all right. But yes, that
it ended up not being so bad. There's that whole 10-year gap where we didn't win anything, and I'm really pissed off about that. Which maybe Bledsoe could have closed the gap. Yeah, I don't know, but
maybe
than that, he's all right.
But yeah, so that does lead to the field goal you so desperately wanted to get to.
Yeah, man, Vinatieri all the way. Redeems himself.
Yes.
Money.
And they also kicked the field goal on third down, if you remember.
They did. Yeah,
yep.
Just in case. It was another tactic by Bill. And the announcers were crapping themselves over.
They had no idea what to do about it. They're like, oh, he's kicking on third down. What is going on here? Then they didn't obviously understand why.
Well, you know what's funny? Like in the those newspaper columns where they would have like sort of like who's better on what side of the ball for every game.
Yes.
And the Patriots were always negative on everything except for coaching. And it was always edge Patriots. And I feel like, because at that time Belichick wasn't, outside of being a defensive guy for the Giants, I mean, he was okay.
Yeah.
But he always won the edge, and now I'm realizing it's because nobody knew what the hell he was ever doing. So it must be.
It's so true, yeah. Yeah, he always comes up with this like one like bullshit thing that everybody's like, what is he doing here? Oh my God, it's the genius of Belichick again. Because he really hadn't proven himself at this point. He had that stint with the Browns where he'd done okay, and then he had his defensive game plan for the Super Bowl when he was on the Giants as the defensive coordinator in the Football Hall of Fame, but as a head coach, he wasn't like this. I don't think he had that genius label yet.
No. And I mean, he went, the 5-11. I mean, it shouldn't really garner that much. But
yeah,
he definitely, he always edged them out according to the announcers and the media, which I guess was smart for once.
Yeah,
but,
they actually got that right, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a hell of a game, man. I enjoyed it. And it was also weird that going into the game, and I guess after this game, going into the game, they had a 9-game winning streak versus the Chargers dating back to 1970.
Yes.
So
the Chargers of all teams.
I know, it's so funny. And they kept it going. So 10 straight. So that was pretty great.
Yeah, eat that, San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego is...
You've got your weather,
city.
But we've got our 10-game winning streak. You fuckers.
All right, yeah. I mean, it's a toss-up. Now, we've reached the end of the game here, and we did not really talk about – I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but we haven't really pointed out the announcers as opposed to previous games. And I thought they were so professionally boring that they were tolerable, but I was annoyed that I couldn't get anything out of them.
Yeah, I had one quote, and that was it. But the one thing I'd like to start off by saying is, buddy, your name is Ian, not Ian.
I know, Ian Eagle. I wrote it as I because I want to be accurate here.
No, but it's spelled Ian.
It is spelled Ian. Ian Eagle and Solomon Wilcots.
Yes. Which is Solomon Wilcots is a fantastic name. For some reason, every time I see that name, I think apricots, and I don't know why, but I feel like
what was that?
I picture.
How do you pronounce that?
Apricots.
Apricots, huh?
How do you pronounce it?
It's a bold.
Apricots.
I go with apricots.
Do you?
Yeah.
I
Apricot
well,
sounds a little pretentious.
well, growing up, because my parents from England, so they always pronounce
Okay.
things funny. So
All right.
like it was yogurt instead of yogurt, and I got a whole bunch of shit for that at school.
Oh yeah, no,
So
you got to remedy
I
that. Apricots is like at least reasonable.
that's what I got to go with the long A's and the long vowels because that's usually more American. So I don't actually know, and I legit don't know if you're fucking with me or not.
I, I think
So it
it's
very well
accurate,
may
but
be
it could be
apricots.
either way.
I don't know. Yeah,
I'm not.
but
I mean, my
apricots.
parents are Portuguese, so I mean, I'm not doing much better in this form.
That's fair, but apricot sounds too like this is how the English pronounce it, and you're going to get shit on in third grade for saying it incorrectly. So I'm going with apricots.
Okay,
But
fair
yeah.
enough. Go on.
But I had one comment from them. They were talking about meeting LaDainian Tomlinson for the first time. I don't know which one it was that said it, but he said, I was very surprised with the size of his lower body.
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel like that could be a football, not football term, but I do know what that one means. So it wouldn't be a question for you. But bringing that up,
I think he did eventually clarify that he was talking about his thighs.
wiener. What?
Yes.
Yeah, his like groin region.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just the lower body in general. It was all very big.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay, so that was football. I thought he meant it the other way, which is kind of weird because the other guy was laughing too. I don't know. But that does bring me to the next thing where I didn't think I was going to have enough terms that I didn't understand, but I got a couple.
Oh, you did? Okay.
For a little bit of, and I'm assuming we're going to run out of these things that I don't know because I usually know a lot.
Because you're learning, yeah. So you'll know them from here on out. Hopefully.
So I don't know if this is ever going to come back, but for now we got another football or not football going on here.
All right.
And let me, like I said, I'm going to throw out a couple of things that I don't quite get. I did get the lower body thing. Well, I thought that I did until you clarified, but if you could just clarify these things for me, explain it to the people out there.
Absolutely.
I think they're typical terms, but so the first one is carrying the load. Carrying the load. Is that football or not football?
That is technically football, yes.
Okay, so what does that mean?
I think it's oftentimes when running backs tend to get a higher workload, and the team is kind of running through them, and they're getting into a rhythm. The running back is said to be carrying the load.
I see. Okay.
Carrying the team on their back, sort of thing.
Gotcha. Oh, so wait, could a quarterback carry the load as well, or does that not apply?
It probably could, but it tends to be used in with running backs for some reason.
Okay.
Probably because they're dragging people around on their backs as well. So it's
okay.
also like a physical carrying of the load.
Gotcha. All right, so that makes sense. Next one here is taking it right up in there.
Ooh. I can see how that could be confused as a football term.
Okay. Wait, so you're saying it's not football on this one?
I'm more on the fence with this one.
Taking it right up in there.
I think
I wasn't sure.
I think there's some context around that would probably be pretty valuable.
Well, that's true. I didn't write down what came before or after, so I'm not really sure. It just kind of threw me off because I hadn't heard that term before.
I'm wondering if you had the wrong tab open for that one.
Oh. No. What do you mean by
that? I mean, I think that you may have been on a site that was a black background with some yellow.
Yes, I was.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't know. So we're going to say not football on that one.
Yeah, that's a gray area, I think. We're going to, put that somewhere in the middle.
This one I'm pretty certain of what it is, but the next one was getting excited every time he touches the ball. And I think that's football.
Well, who are they talking about?
Again, I don't know. I got to do a better job about this because
that I think that would greatly explain whether it was or wasn't football. Because if we're talking about, let's say, Doug Flutie, then that's probably football. But if we're talking about Drew Bledsoe in this case, then maybe not.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, I gotta do it better with the context because I'm not sure on that one. So I don't know. That's iffy.
That is iffy.
So I got two more on this one. One of them is about LaDainian. I wrote. So we.
Oh, nice. Okay. Some context.
Tomlinson only has one goal. I fucked that up. One hole to go through. So Tomlinson only has one hole to go through. And I think we were talking about last week, what was it, gaping holes and whatnot?
Gaping holes and squeezing through them or something.
The tight holes or something. So
yes, yeah.
I'm guessing, and this is like you said, just learning as we go, he only has one hole to go through is when the linemen aren't doing that great of a job or something. And like, you walk me through this one. I think it's something like that.
No, I think you're on the right track. And it might even be like play call specific as well, where there's only one specified hole that's trying to be blocked open.
Oh, okay. So it was designed that way.
Yes, and I don't think it's anything to do with whoever is or isn't dating as well, and how she feels about that sort of stuff.
Oh.
In this case.
What do you think he's into, like in that respect? If we're talking about that, I don't know. I don't know if you've ever talked to him.
My guess is probably humiliation sort of things.
So
just a wild guess. What?
He's on the receiving end of this?
I could see that, yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah, I don't know. That's not here nor there, but I think it's a lineman issue thing.
Yeah, I think you might
finally,
be right.
This one the announcer said, and again, I don't have context on what the hell he was talking about, so I apologize.
Right. Well, we'll try to figure it out anyway.
All right, he says, I want to be one of the 8 men in the box.
Oh, boy.
And that one really, like, perked my ears up a little bit. So it's not football or not football?
You listen to these games different than most people.
I'm just curious.
There is a box in football.
Okay.
And there do happen to be men in that box. So I think in this case that would be football. There can be up to 8, yes.
Okay.
It's usually how many defenders are in that box, which is within a few yards of the line of scrimmage.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
In the middle there, so
like towards the lineman again.
Yes, yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of these are
the trenches, as they call it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. No, that makes sense. So that's all I got. I'll try to have more context if any of these things pop up in the future.
That'd be beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great segment. I love it.
Well, thank you. I'm learning a lot.
Good. That's what we're here for. We want to share our knowledge of football and our love of football with the greater population. So I appreciate you bringing these things and being so vulnerable and saying that you don't know things and bringing that to the forefront.
Yeah, it's not my forte, but I'm trying to work on it. So
no, I appreciate that.
I appreciate that as well.
All right. So with that being said, how about we get into our best and worst to wrap this up?
All right, that sounds good to me.
Did you want to go first?
Well, I also wanted to talk a little bit about just a little thing that I found out about Troy Brown and Terry Glenn before we get into that.
Sure.
And it was basically, Terry Glenn, I don't know if he says things to be abrasive or not, but it was just interesting the little sound bites that I found. But when after the game he was talking about Brady and they were like, how do you think he did or whatever? And he said, he's young and wants to prove himself. That's an advantage for us. He might not have tried some of the plays that he did if he was 8 or 9 years in. I was wondering, is that a shot at Drew?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't think he would say that, but it just kind of came off as like you're kind of throwing him on the bus a little bit.
I think it was more as like he's too stupid to know better is what it feels like.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. I think he was trying to say the right thing, and it came off a little bit weird.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I thought was funny was that apparently Terry Glenn threw his, Tom Brady's first touchdown pass, the football into the stands. And Troy
really?
Brown, after the game, said that he was actually a little bit annoyed by that. He would have given the football to Brady. So
of course he would.
Right. So it's really shows you both personalities there. But yeah, best and the worst here.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked quite a bit about everything. But I would say one thing that we did not talk about is Antoine Smith didn't have a great game. I think he had like 30 or 40 yards rushing, whatever. But he did have a touchdown. It was in the third. It was on the goal line. And, he was running up the middle basically. And Junior Seau, it was one of those that he timed perfectly, like you were talking about.
Yes.
And he just pops Antoine Smith.
He took his fucking head off.
Yeah, and he falls back like 2 or 3 yards, and then somehow ducks under a couple of people flying at him and then dives for the touchdown.
Yeah,
So,
it doesn't fall over on that Seo hit, which I don't think
Nope.
has ever happened. But like, did you see Seo's reaction? He was like, "How the hell did that guy knock?"
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
He was celebrating that he
mind-blown.
tackled him for a 2-yard loss, and he ended up scoring a touchdown from it.
Yeah, no, that was pretty badass.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my best as well, just so you know.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny. And then well, I mean, then I guess that my second best was Ladanian's fumble recovered by Brian Cox because fuck him. And my worst is, and I'm gonna have to change this one because it was everything that Lee Johnson did. But now that we established that he made Brady the hero that he is, I got no worst.
I love it. Always looking on the bright side. That's beautiful.
Right. I like
All
it.
right. My best was, well, I guess I'm going to switch it up to an observation that I noticed, that Doug Flutie throwing a football to Tim Dwight. That has got to be the shortest connection in the history of football, correct?
Do you mean height wise?
Yes. They're both 5'9", and I can't think of, unless Drew Brees is, but no, we already established Drew Brees is super tall. Kyler Murray maybe throwing to some.
I mean, Russell Wilson is what, 5'11", I think. So
yeah, he's close on 6 feet. So
yeah, 5'9". I mean,
two 5'9" white guys connecting on a successful forward pass in the NFL in 2001, I think is a highlight in anybody's book.
I have no commentary. I don't know what I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. Look, I have no comment on height. I have no comment on, it's
just something that you don't see very often.
You don't see it.
We got the.
It is an anomaly. We can agree that it is an anomaly.
Okay. Well, I'll take that.
I like that. Okay. That makes sense.
That was my best, just being able to see that. And my worst is watching the Chargers kickoff team celebrating as if they've won the game, making a tackle on a kickoff that got returned back to the 35-yard line. It's just so typical Chargers. It's like getting pissed off that the Patriots are doing sack dance on your field at the end of the game after beating you when they shouldn't have.
Oh yeah, that is classic.
It's just
Wait, wasn't that the game that he was also like riding the bike for like half the game? I feel like
that was 2007. I think. Yeah, it was 2007 where he went in and him and whoever the quarterback was. I think it was Philip Rivers at the time, wasn't it?
It was Philip, yeah, actually.
Yeah. And both of them were injured, and LaDainian Tomlinson had one rush and then sat the rest of the game out, like under his like big jacket because it's too cold for him.
That's right. Yeah. So different, but yeah, they're all LaDainian Tomlinson game with the Chargers and the Patriots ended pretty much the same way.
It sure did.
That's right.
So, yeah, but I think this is a quality game so far on our list of games to watch. This is probably number one for me of the ones we've watched so far.
I would definitely recommend viewing it.
Yeah, I mean, so I think this goes on the board of should watch.
Hey, put it up.
All right.
But if you find a copy, even with commercials, just sit through the early 2000s.
They were interesting, weren't they?
They're fantastic. Cedric the Entertainer, baby, selling Budweiser.
Oh, yeah, by shaking them up by dancing because he's got a girl in his living room, and then when she opens it, it sprays in her face.
That's right. And then I remember a few other Cedric commercials, so hopefully we get to see those too.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for week 5 of the 2001 season. Thanks for being here, Mike. It was a joy to share this with you.
Yeah, it was really fun. Like I said, I'm trying to be more vulnerable and open up and just say, you know what, man, I appreciate you as a human being. And while my time could be used for other things, it's not the worst thing in the world.
I agree. Yeah. And it's always a pleasure to be able to shoot the shit with you. So.
All right. See, you went genuine. I veered off a little bit working on it, but yeah.
I disagree. It felt genuine to me, so I'll take it.
Okay.
All right. Well, until next week. What is next week?
I don't even know. And
What are we looking forward to? Do you want to know?
I don't want to know.
You don't want to know?
I'll get off and you can tell them, but I'm done.
The Patriots go visit the Indianapolis Colts.
God damn.
That's what we got to look forward to.
All
the
right.
Colts that they blew the doors off recently. The week
That's
before,
true.
2 weeks before.
I mean, is Peyton Manning playing or?
Do you want me to tell you?
No, I don't. You passed the test, buddy.
I got you. Yes, he is playing.
Oh, fuck.
All right, that'll do it for this episode. We'll see everybody next week if you're still with us.
All right. Sounds good. See you later, man.
Bye.
Bye.